Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Distance Dilemma podcast. My name is Shaun, and I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This is Imran, and he is in Thun, Switzerland, and this is our long distance friendship podcast. And we are going to kick things off with out of context weekly scenarios. This is the part of the show where me and Imran give each other a section of our week out of context, and the other person has to try and guess what's going on. So, Imran, what's your out of context weekly scenario?
Okay, I have a bit more of a concern on this one this week. This one's not funny. Okay,
Okay,
before I begin, yeah. So I'll say,
scraps at Christmas.
no, but I'll say, concerning phone calls. That's how I'm gonna word it.
Okay, did you get a call from home?
Yeah, yeah.
Was it about Bruno?
No, thankfully not. No,
Okay, right. No, that's
jeez,
that's that's okay.
you're bringing the dog into it is a bit much, man. Come on.
Well, that's like severe level threat. Like like
Yeah, yeah. That's
that's like
like return
worst.
home right now kind of situation. Like,
Yeah. Was it about somebody in your family?
no, thankfully not.
One of your friends,
No, no, no,
coworker?
no,
I know a former coworker, a former
no, no,
somebody you used to go to college with.
no, no, no.
The doctor.
For you on this situation, I just want you to get the context. So I'll just say concerning phone calls and I'll leave it at that. And then if you figure out the context of it, then I'll give you.
Was it from like the government?
No,
Revenue?
no.
You said no to doctor, yeah.
Yeah, no to a doctor.
No to a doctor, and so that includes like hospital and that sort of stuff as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It is like my main circle. I'll give you that.
So
Like,
was it like somebody? So this person is somebody. It's the person who called you is someone you know. Like
yeah. It's my
was it
main
somebody?
circle.
Was it somebody we used to go to school with?
No, no,
Somebody you went to college with?
no.
I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but was it somebody you used to work with?
No.
Where else do
You
you get friends?
you mentioned you mentioned everything but the other part of my main circle. You mentioned Bruno and you've mentioned friends and you mentioned co-workers and you've mentioned
And family.
government. No. Or did you mention family?
I did say family. It was the
Okay,
first thing I
sorry.
said.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah, then yeah, it's family, yeah. Sorry, my brain just completely just decided not to hear you.
Well, did you get a call
Yes.
from your auntie?
Yeah.
Okay,
I got
right.
okay, yeah. And I also got a phone call from Dari. So
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to you because it seems like I just completely messed up there and I just didn't hear him say family. I think my brain just skipped a beat for a second. So essentially, over the Christmas period, I told my family that I was gonna go skiing again because I told them I'd gone previously. And I don't know if you heard about it. You probably didn't because if you did hear about it, you probably would have texted me. But I woke up on New Year's Day to like three missed calls from my auntie and then like three text messages from Dari. And basically, I hadn't actually realized there was a bar in a ski resort in Switzerland over on New Year's Eve, and basically a fire started, and they think it was from a firework, but a firework exploded and then ignited a lot of the gas canisters. So like the way they use for like balloons, and basically it exploded and killed 40 people.
Fuck.
Yeah, and 100 left 115 people injured. But I hadn't heard this had happened. And then I was concerned because I was getting phone calls, and then Daria texted me going, "I hope you didn't go skiing." And I was like, why is it that I wasn't going skiing? But supposedly it was all in the news back at home. Like I don't know why it must have been on the 6 o'clock news, or I don't know, it must have been all over RTE. But I eventually had to ring my auntie back, and I was like, "Is everything okay?" And she was like, "Yeah, just wondering, were you near that ski resort place, or did you go there with Nicola?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine. I was working. I didn't even know it was on." And then when I came into work, it was like a really big thing, like around the town. Like there was like stuff in the newspapers about it, and like it was on the radio in Switzerland, and people were talking about it. But it was a bit of a mad morning on New Year's Day. It's a weird way to start your year off, but yeah, I hope everyone is okay from the people that are recovering from the situation. But I was only thinking, like, imagine how scary that is if you're telling your family, like, "Oh, I'm just going to a ski resort," and a big accident like that happens. It must be a bit surreal for like
Well,
families and friends and stuff.
that sort of stuff can happen like anywhere. Like it can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
You could be like, I'm just going into town. You could get on a bus and something can happen on that bus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man.
It's like it's crazy how like little things like that can affect like your everyday life. Like those like small things where like little things where you decide to like drive or take public transport or walk or like all those little things can have very good and very negative effects. Like just depending on the day, depending on the world around you. Like
Yeah, it was really one of them situations where I felt like I felt really bad for my family because they didn't know like what my plans were, and I kind of told them I was going skiing over the Christmas period, and they probably, the first worst things came to their mind. They probably tried to put two and two together, and they probably started freaking out a bit that way. But thankfully, we weren't anywhere near it, and God bless everyone that situation happened to. I hope you have a bit of a brighter one for your out of weekly context.
I mean, like I don't know if I'd go with like brighter. It's a bit more mundane, but it's definitely not as like deep and dark as that.
I'd hope not.
Yeah. My out of context weekly scenario is an unexpected arrival.
Ooh, an unexpected arrival. Did you get like a New Year's Eve / Christmas gift kind of through the post? No? Unexpected arrival. Did somebody get I already said gift. Did somebody come to your house unexpectedly?
Sort of, yes.
Sort of. Was it one of your mates that you hadn't seen in a while?
Yes.
Yes. Is it someone we both know?
Yes.
Yes. Is it someone I know very well?
I would say you know them pretty well, yeah.
Okay. Was it one of your band members?
No.
Was it one of like some of your friends you grew up with?
No.
No. College friend?
No.
No, so not a college friend, not someone you grew up with. Did we both used to hang around with this person together?
No.
No. So mainly just your friends. So, was it Billy?
No, but you definitely know, and you're getting warmer in terms of like where they're from with Billy. Billy lives close by them.
Ah, was it Cian? No, Cian doesn't live close to Billy.
No.
Live close. Was it's one of your
Also,
friends?
also, like this is probably like the giveaway, but one of these people used to live very close to you.
They're very close to me.
Yeah, like I'm talking like same street.
Was it Mike McCauley?
No, no,
Oh, Jack. It was Jack. It was
no,
Jack.
no. Me and
No.
Jack used to hang out together. I was
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
so
we did. We did. We did. We did. But that wasn't the same. Was it? Oh, was it Ross?
no,
No,
you're not.
or Connor Dunn?
No,
No, what? The same road. It's not Odie, not my next door neighbor.
no, no.
No. Do I
Who
know
on
this
that
person?
street that am I good friends with?
Yeah,
On
actually,
Jack, so I'll say in particular Jack's
oh,
street.
Kelsey,
Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
There we
sorry.
go.
Sorry, Kelsey, you just jumped out of my mind there.
So well, the full context behind that is I was sitting at home on the 28th and I was just chilling. I just watched an episode of House and it was like the last 2 minutes of the episode, and also that day I was also kind of, I don't know if I think I may have mentioned that on the podcast, but I was half thinking / supposed to be in Kerry on the 28th
Yeah,
for a Coronas
yeah.
gig. I ended up deciding not to go, just wasn't really feeling up to it. And so I was at home. Me and Simone were also like kind of itching to kind of do something, because you know those like weird. It's that period of the year where it's really weird, where nobody knows what day it is, nobody knows what time it is, nobody knows what to do with their lives. And like we had spent that morning, we went out and kind of like done the shopping and stuff, and just looking for something to do. And I got a call from Kelsey, and she was like, "Hey, we're like 5 minutes away. Can we come over? And do you want to go get food?" So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was just and if this is like a thing. Before we start recording, I was telling you about that lasagna on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
This was
yeah.
like that lasagna got pushed back. We bought it like 2 weeks before, and like it was supposed to get eaten like every day for like 2 weeks, and well, not every day, but like it was like, oh yeah, we'll have that this day, that day. It got pushed back, and then we're like, right, well, we're gonna have to push the lasagna back again. Um, so yeah, it just like unexpectedly the guys like knocked over, which was great. because we hadn't seen them in like 3 or 4 weeks.
That's nice.
And we went out and we ended up getting a Five Guys, which, if you
Nice.
know me, I fucking love it. Five Guys is my favorite cheeseburger. So
I love that meme of the interviewer interviewing two guys, and she's like, "What's your favorite fast food?" And she's like, "My I love it. I love a Five Guys." But these two American actors have no idea
yes,
that
yeah,
Five
yeah, yeah.
Guys is like a American food chain. Like they're so confused. Or sorry, they're just it's like a cheeseburger food chain, and they're like, "Wait, Five Guys? Wait, what do you mean Five Guys is your takeaway order?" And they're
I think
mad.
the way she was like, I love getting Five Guys, but like it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
really
yeah.
like sexual
The
if you
actual,
didn't know
yeah,
what. Yeah, if you don't know what Five Guys is, like
they're really concerned looking at her like, "What the
Yeah,
hell
like
did she do?"
the two of them were like, this is like not safe for work. Something like they're doing right now. Like, what
What
the
does this
fuck?
have to do with the movie right now?
Yeah,
Yeah. Not that kind of movie.
yeah, for sure.
That's nice though. It's always nice when you get like a surprise kind of visit from like one of your mates like that. You know, when
Yeah, absolutely.
you're not kind of like expecting them as well.
Yeah, I thought it was really nice, especially like because I was not really supposed to be home as well.
Mm.
Like like I had in my calendar had like that I was in Killarney, like but I just wasn't really feeling up to it, and I was kind of like not like regretting it, but like I was kind of like, oh well, I'm just sitting here doing nothing anyway. But I knew I also wasn't really feeling up to it mentally to go down to Killarney.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I was kind of like in a crossroads like that, and it was nice to see my friends. What can I say?
Oh, that's
I see
lovely.
'em.
Bit of New Year spirit. That is.
Exactly,
That's great.
exactly.
That's great.
Speaking of New Year's spirit, we're gonna move on to our topic.
You see what I did there? You see what I did there?
It's not as good if you point it
I know,
out.
but I just get excited because normally our transitions to be sometimes terrible, and it's really nice when it comes like swiftly like that.
Yeah. So yeah, we're moving on for a topic for this week, and our topic is coping with change. Me and Imran are both in our 20s at the moment. We're in our late 20s now, man,
Yeah,
which
just
is
one
kind of
year over the
crazy.
mid 20s. Yeah,
Yeah, but technically we're in our late 20s now, bro.
yeah.
But yeah, there's like a
Back
lot of
starting to hurt a
things.
little
There's a lot of things that change in life. You know, I kind of have gone through like a big period of change over the last like 2 years. I would say like lots of things have changed. Obviously, Imran has moved over to Switzerland in the last two. Will it be 3 years or there soon?
bit.
No, sorry. No,
This April, it's 2 years.
2 years. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was 24 because it was just yeah. Because I'm just thinking like it was my gig in the townhouse. I bought Betsy off you like 2 weeks later, and then you were gone.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it feels like longer that you've been gone. Does it feel longer to you?
Yeah, it feels really like because I was saying to Nicola, Nicola's coming home in January for a week, and I just couldn't get the time off work, so I won't be going back till March. But it'll be the first time I haven't been at home in like over 6.5 months. And for me now, it's like I've actually spent so much time. Like our first year while we were here, we were back in Ireland so much, and
Mm.
now like this second part coming into the second year, it's like, oh, I actually haven't been home at all. So it's kind of a weird feeling to kind of digest it a little bit because like I kind of said before, like this kind of fear that I have is like I spend so much time away from home that it doesn't feel like home anymore. Although although it always is in your heart and like you know things like we talked about before, like in your local area that you feel comfortability about, like walking to the shops and knowing where different roads are and stuff like that. I'm afraid like that part will disappear from my
Mm.
life without even me wanting it to be. But then again, like I feel like once you're back in an area again for like 2 hours, you're like, ah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
grew up
feel
here,
it
that
kind of
kind
like
of.
muscle memory in a way of like you may not like
Yeah,
know the name of the streets, but you know where the streets are taking you. That sounds like
yeah,
some
yeah,
sort of like ghetto metaphor or something.
yeah. That sounds like a little motivation video you're going to start here. It's like,
Yeah. Inspirational quotes 365
what's
on
like
Instagram.
what's like a change you've noticed since like turning 26? Like we're talking like we're like, Morgan Freeman age, but like what's kind of a change that you felt like over the past year or two?
Just like life being so serious almost.
Mm,
I was talking to Simone about this the other day, like the contrast of like your teens and your 20s. Like if you think like 10 years ago, like the biggest, like your world seems so small well, no, your world seems huge when you're in school, and I
hmm
think like this was like we were watching Stranger Things as well, and like I'm thinking back of like, being of that age that the actors are trying to portray but are clearly not anymore. But yeah, we're like trying to like think back on like, well, I was thinking of like, what life was like then, and you used to think, oh my god, I have problems, and I like things that are going on in like that teenage world are like nothing compared to the adult world. Like if you gave me the problems that I had when I was a teenager now, I'd take them gladly. Like not that my life is full of
Yeah, yeah.
problems now, but like there's just so life like the world just opens up so much in your 20s. Like you realize
Mm,
how small the world is when you're in school, because like it's things like not having to pay rent until
mm,
well I started paying when I was like 16, 17. But like it's things like
same.
that, where like it's not a case of like, oh, you're just handing up to your parents. Like now, like we're both in the situations where we're paying rent to landlords, and like if you don't pay
Mm.
rent, you're gone. Like in the
You're
food
gone,
shop,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
If
it's also dealing with like like being very aware of like politics and like like
current
like general
affairs
current
and
affairs in
like
the public, and like
yeah.
looking after people, and like also one of the great pleasures of life, but also like something we've talked about before a little bit is like you get introduced to so many new people in your 20s as well, whereas like
Yeah.
in school you maybe know 30 people very well,
Mm,
and the majority of those are like in your class or like in a circle, and then like maybe there's a handful of people that you don't like because like in my case I'd been bullied by people, so like I knew them well enough. Whereas like when you move out of school then and like you go into the big world, like the corporate world, or into the workspace or whatever it is, like like you just
mm-hmm.
like it like quadruples in size like every year. Like every time you get a new job, every time you go into like a new social space and stuff, like the world just like gets bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's like the big thing I've noticed like in the last like like you said, like the last 2 years. I think over the last like 10 years, it's like been like something I've been thinking about, like how small the problems that you thought were huge actually were in your teens compared
Mm-hmm.
to now. It's just I just
I
thought it was an interesting thought.
Yeah, I think one thing I got what you were saying there is like the first thing that was coming to mind was like the innocence of like your problems when you're like at that
Yeah.
age. It's like compared to like when you're like now we're saying like in our mid 20s, it's like your responsibilities change so much on like a drastic stage. But then also it's kind of like it's serious to a certain point where it's serious financially, but besides that, your issues tend to be more adult based rather than like the
Mm.
innocence of like, oh, I'm going to be late to class, and little small things like, oh, I didn't go training today, am I going to get played for my team, which some
Yeah.
people probably still do when they do play sports and stuff like that. But I think our things change, and I like the way you said about, for me it was like the micro macro kind of aspect of like your system. So like you were saying there, like most of your friends and all are like, I'm still friends with a lot of people from school, but I'm meeting so many more people now in my 20s, especially since moving away, because I'm always meeting like new Irish people that have moved to Switzerland, or when I'm working in the pub, like someone will just start a conversation with me, or like you were saying, like you're like obviously you're in the music industry, so you're probably constantly meeting new musicians, new bands, photographers. You're always kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not like
Always networking.
networking. Sorry, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so like I feel like there's a lot of change comes with networking in your 20s, and it's kind of it's nice because like I feel like we are put on this earth to meet people. I think that's like a really important thing. I think isolation can become a big thing in big cities. Like we've seen how much it's been talked about in Japan over the past 20 years, like, about how isolated people have become because it's such a hugely populated area in one specific city. And it's like, I think it's really important as we're getting old to like making sure that you're trying to meet, not that you're trying to meet new people, but always be open to having discussions
Mm.
with people. I think that's probably most important.
Mm.
One change I had, sorry, before you talk, is I wrote down is sorry, I wrote it down and now I can't find it. I had it on the
That's
wrong
fine.
page. So fab. I had was sorry, my mind's gone blank. I'm just gonna let you go.
Fair enough. I also kind of parked my thing, and now I can't remember what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Sorry, guys. I've been sick all week and my brain is just not working today.
But the next thing I was gonna like kind of talk about, like, and like I was kind of only like saying this to Simone, it's like when you were in school, like is something you could like. No, I don't mean like cry yourself to sleep literally over, but like something you could get really upset over in the evening time, and like what would like dominate your headspace is like having a crush on somebody who doesn't like you back.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest fucking deal, and like you thought, like you honestly thought like you were gonna write breakup albums, and you thought you were gonna like you thought your thing was so groundbreaking, and like, look, come here, I'm sure there is like situations where like it really does impact people, and that's like totally fair and valid. But like, just I'm talking more in a general sense of like, I don't know if like this is me maybe being blind to this because I'm in a relationship now as well, but I kind of also felt this when I was like when before me and Simone got together when I was still single in my early 20s, that like
Mm.
you know like in school that was such a big thing, and it was for me as well. Like there was like my history with that sort of thing as well. Like like that sort of thing like dominated my headspace. Like if I fancied someone and they didn't like me back, and it was like
Yeah.
a big it was like the be all and end all in some cases, whereas like now it's like it's kind of hard for us to maybe relate to this because we've been in relationships for so long and for like
Yeah.
such like we're both literally living with our partners now, like
Hmm.
and we've been with them for years. But like I can't imagine from my single friends that I speak to and from people who I know who are a little bit older, it does not dominate that headspace half as much, or maybe even
No.
like three quarters as much as it did in
No.
school. Because you've just got other responsibilities in life, and you've got other like relationships to manage. Like you got other family relationships, and like because you get introduced, like we were saying, there you get introduced to so many new people, and there's not particular like pecking order to people. It's kind of just like who is in and around your life at any one time. Like like there's people I went to college with that I love, and I like I wish nothing but the best for them, and I would still consider them friends. But I haven't like either met up with them or haven't spoken to them in a few months. Not for any bad reason, just because
Hmm.
they're not in my immediate life circle anymore, and that's just because life gets busy.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
take new jobs, you have different priorities and responsibilities, like
I have a bit of a mad stuff here because like me and Nicola were like talking about it the other day. So we're 9 years together this year,
Mm.
and looking back, I was saying like to Nicola, I was like, we actually kind of grew up. Like we've grown up from our teenage years all the way through to our early 20s,
Mm.
and I know all her immediate circle as well. So I also seen all her friends grow up. Nicola's seen all my friends grow up, including you. Like Nicola, I've seen you before you were with Simone, and then getting with Simone, and then moving in with Simone. So it's funny to see all the changes and the problems that we initially had maybe at the start of our relationship to like now it's like a complete different situation. Back then when you're in a start of a relationship, you worry about, oh, they're going to this party with this person, with this group of friends, or oh, they didn't text me back to like, like a whole day. Like that's what you're saying. Like our problems
Mm.
change, and now Nicola's like, if I don't text Nicola back for 10 hours or something or 6 hours, she probably just thinks I'm busy in work, or we're talking with one of the lads or off doing something. You know what I mean? Like your changes in your age category, like it's not the same as it was when you were saying like when we're 16, 17, 18, and now it's like, oh, we're texting like, oh, we need to pay the bills this month, and oh, we need to pay this,
Yeah,
and oh, and
yeah,
then oh, and like we talked about before, like we're always planning, like we're always like, okay, when's the next holiday, what are we going to do here, when are we going to go back home to Ireland, and like, and Nicola's always asked me like, oh, how's Shaun getting on, or a couple of my other friends back in Ireland as well. So it's interesting to see like over the last 9 years, and it probably is something that he will appreciate even more. As we get older, like in
mm.
our 30s and 40s, you look back to think about the things that were during that time.
Yeah. I wonder, like, we're saying these things now. Like, I just like spoke about like the contrast between like let's say the age of like we're 26 now and like what it would have been like when we were 16. Like, I wonder what it's gonna be like when we're 36. Like, are we gonna think similar things of when we
Yeah.
were in our 20s, of like oh geez, we thought we had problems in our 20s. We've got mortgages now. We're not paying rent. We've got mortgages to keep up. Like like I wonder what the contrast is going to be like.
And like I was even saying to one of the lads in work, he recently had a baby, and he's 34. And I was saying, like, I actually like to him. I was like to him, oh, I think that's a perfect age, because you're settled and all that kind of stuff with his girlfriend, and he's having an apartment and everything. And then he was kind of laughing at me because he was like, man, like, there's no actual like time limit or plan for having kids, or like, getting a new job or anything. Like he was saying like he moved away from home to get an opportunity to, to get a job and stuff. And then he actually ended up meeting someone who he fell in love with. Then they decided to move back to Switzerland due to COVID. And then, now they have a beautiful baby, and, he's after getting promotion in the job. And, think like it's funny, like he think like his responsibility and his goals changed so much within the space of 4 years with things that weren't out of his control, because we knew how much COVID affected a lot of us,
Mm.
because we essentially did, like I was saying to a couple of lads before, like my college experience wasn't like a lot of the other people that had started maybe a year before, because they maybe got that 2 to 3, yeah, plan on campus, where like I only spent 6 months of my whole 4 years on campus.
Mm.
So I actually was meeting people that I didn't know in my fourth year of college because I'd only ever seen them online. It's
Yeah.
just like, you know what I mean? Like, so your changes in like how experiences can be affected so quickly by so many different things.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like I feel I didn't love as much as I love like hybrid working or remote working
Mm,
and stuff. I hated it during college, like because you just didn't get that kind of like social thing. I think that's like had a
mm,
massive impact on people. I think you can like really see it. Like, like you do feel bad for like some of the kids that like never got to have debs and graduations and
mm.
stuff like that. Like like look, come here, in the grand scheme of things, they're really nothing. Like
No,
they're like
they're just a night out.
exactly, they're just a night out. They don't really like significantly mean anything when you're in you're like when you're out of that like kind of school space, like but it's still like nice to have that, and I'm very grateful that like my college graduation came at a time where like it was the end of 2022, I think. So I think at the start of 2022 like they had started to like lift restrictions properly, like because I know they tried it in 2021. It was they were doing all those phase things, like where you couldn't go to restaurants for certain amounts of time and with certain groups of people. I think 22 was when they started lifting everything properly. So I
Mm.
got to have a bit more of a graduation for college, but like the amount of people that didn't get to have like a Debs. Yeah, again, like they're just nights out, but it's sad to think that like we got that experience and like only like a select like 2 or 3 years didn't get that, and like their
Mm.
younger brothers and sisters are gonna get that. Like it's kind of sad to think of, like.
It's the thing. It's mad as well because like I've been to three debs, and I think you
Mm.
have as well. If I'm
Yeah,
if I'm not wrong, yeah. So like the thing that we've been to
Dubs.
three, yeah, three
Dubs.
devs 3 years in a row, and then some of the students didn't even get to go on like a pre-debs or
Mm.
their graduation or anything like that. So I do count myself lucky for that kind of time period as like growing up as well because I had a lot of fun as well. But yeah, it's
There's a great
I
photo of me
def
and you on one of our pre-debs where like we went to McDonald's after, and we both
oh
got
yeah.
Happy Meals, or someone got a Happy Meal, and we took and there was like two masks. So it's like and because it's like 4 a.m. It looks like me, and like we're wearing kids masks that are far too small for our heads. It looks like me and Imran are wearing gimp masks. And they're both purple as well. Doesn't help.
I have no recognition of this photo, so we definitely must have been drunk
I'll
or
send it
something.
to you. I'll send it to you later.
Okay, yeah,
I think I have it
yeah,
on my phone somewhere.
yeah. It's mad. Like me and Sean consecutively for like we had this kind of like running joke that we'd only get good pictures. That like every time we took a photo, it was always really fire. Do you not remember that? Like we used to go
Yeah, I
through this
remember
time
that,
period.
and I look back on some of them photos and go, okay, yeah, that
Nada.
was fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sure.
There's-
There is. I love the photo of me and you at our college grad for our PLC. That's a lovely
yeah,
photo,
yeah.
and you're trying to hide the crutch because you had broken your leg at
Can
the
I
time
tell a
as well.
story about this? And this is my vendetta against so many people. I was in, so for pre-devs, sorry, for not for pre-devs, for a graduation from the PLC, we had a night out together at the end of the year. And I was in my suit, but I was on crutches because I'd actually sprained my ankle, I think, the week before playing GA. And we went into town and I slipped because it was really wet and went like face first on O'Connell Street. And not one of them bastards picked me up. They were all wetting themselves. In fairness, it was funny the way I felt because it was like something like I slept on a banana peel. It was because the way I slipped, it went like that. And not one of them, all of them were just wetting themselves, like eating them and then laughing. And eventually, I remember Sean and Nicola came and picked me up. But both of you were laughing as well. But I just felt I was so pissed off because I was wearing like a white shirt and the collar had like little stains on it from the muck on the ground and everything. Oh man, I was raging. Do you remember that, or
Yeah,
do you have
yeah.
like a weird? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Look. In my defense, right?
It was funny. It was
Shit's
funny.
funny. Shit is very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, just back onto like the whole idea of like coping with change, because that's going to be the episode,
Oh yeah.
the title of the episode, and we've talked quite a lot about change and stuff, but with the actual coping end, we're really hitting the mark on. We're missing the mark on, I suppose. But like, I feel like it's like a thing of like like over time. I think it's like a bit like time being the healer in a lot of these cases. Like it's like with anything like with grief or with
hmm
any kind of hardships, like time usually is the best healer. And it's like it's really hard when you're in the thick of it. But I not it's just to like kind of like think back on like what I've seen from other people as well. Like like when my mom passed, and like watching my grandmother deal with that, like with like with her daughter dying. Like it's like
Yeah.
watching,
With-
like watching that process has been like that's been one of the hardest parts of the whole thing. Like and watching that change happen, and even she still like struggles with it now. I won't go into it too much because it's not really my business to talk about her
Mhm.
feelings and stuff.
Of course.
But like I feel like time really is like the best healer of things, and like it works for and against, because
Hmm.
sometimes you just want to skip to the part where everything's all right and stuff,
Hmm.
but you kind of need to go through that process and sit in the mud,
Hmm.
and but that's what your friends and family are there for as well. Like like we've spoken many a time that like me and Imran would be
Hmm.
more pissed off at each other if we didn't ring each other, if we didn't tell each other what was going on.
Of course.
Like if Imran hadn't texted me that he had died in an avalanche, I didn't tell you. That's why I didn't ring him yesterday or on New Year's Day, whatever it was. I knew he was grand because he didn't text me telling me he was dead.
Yeah, yeah.
He would have
I
told me if he
think,
died.
of course it would. Essentially, should let her through the post.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I said is because I've actually never experienced, thankfully, touch wood, any grievance in my life. I have a lot of respect and a lot of self-reflection from other people that I get from, especially like you in that situation of your mom passing last year. I was always thinking about like because it's so different for a son to lose his mother, and then I was only thinking then of your nanny at the time is like she's losing a daughter, someone that she's raised from birth, and I think it's such a weird thing to tackle in as like humans because people have a different relationship because they're the son or the mother of like that person. And I think for your mom, it must have been so weird because all the memories must be flooding. And again, I don't want to talk because I don't. First of all, I don't know your nanny that well, and second of all, I'm just talking from my perspective of what I was thinking about. But what I was trying to say is, I think it's so also nice for her to learn to cope with the mechanisms that she's trying to put into her life now and reflect on all the good things. I'm sure that's a big process of it.
Mm.
It can be a dangerous area to go into because you can become very negative about you know the loss of someone. But again, like I've been fully a believer when someone does pass away, we try to, especially in Ireland, I think we try to celebrate it.
Mm.
It's more a celebration of their life rather than the grievance of a death. And I think so that's something in Ireland I think that we do very well because I feel like it doesn't go on too much. I think it's three. It normally the process is 3 to 4 days, and then after the fourth day, then that's normally when the grievance kind of soon to begin. So it's kind of like a celebration, and then the next stage, um, does be the part of grievance and self reflection. But yeah, I think it's something that I definitely do fear a lot because I do think it's a big change for other people's lives as well as the person that actually had passed. And I think you could probably talk on that as well because obviously your family have been affected by it, and even like I know myself, like your mom was such a big presence within Harstown, because she worked in the pharmacy, so like she was very well known around the area. Because you even said it as well, you saw a lot of people turn up to the funeral.
Mm. Yeah, it was like even the priest said it was one of the biggest funerals he's ever seen.
Yeah,
You know, like people could not get into the church. Like there was like
mhm,
people outside, like just on like as like that's normal, obviously before the ceremony
of
starts.
course.
But like there was like I'd say easily about 100 people that couldn't get into the church. You know,
Yeah,
um, it's something I like dread to think of with like Simone. Like if something was to ever happen to, or even to you or to like any of my friends, like if something was to happen, and like just to think on how that would be like and like even like it's because it's obviously going to happen at some point in our lives, like down the road, like not to get too Debbie Downer about it, like but like it's like it's sad to think of, but like it's also like I don't know how I'm gonna cope with that, like with whether it's me or someone, like there's like that selfless thing of like you would want it to be the other person so they don't have to deal with it, but then you also know it's going to be super tough to deal with yourself as well, like like I'm kind of like, oh, like rather I'd rather be Simone first because I wouldn't want her to go through the pain of having to mourn me, but then mourning the other person is going to be fucking horrific yourself, like
yeah.
it's like
Me and Nicola always
it's a
laugh
lose
about that.
it's a lose lose, like
Nicola's always, well, me and Nicola are always laughing at that about that. She's like, you're not going first. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, I refuse for you to go first. I'm going first. Or if not, we're going together because I'm not sitting here and grieving over you for the next 20 years. I was like, wait, 20 years? How quick is this going to happen? Is there a time period? But yeah, it is. It's scary because like I've been seeing this thing on one of the podcasts that I watched recently, and the guy was talking about it's like a lot of people do so much, and it's just saying like all for the gram. You know, like people do so many things just to show off, but at the end of the day, we're all just another person on the third. We all have an end date. They haven't found this, the live forever as a Oasis kind of standby. But like, there's nothing that you can forever grow on, and that's why I think life is so precious. And it's something that again, when I was younger, I probably didn't think about like what's important. And then as I get older, then it's all these like you were saying there changes and coping mechanisms that you have to appreciate life and stuff like that. So yeah. Very, 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 very honest words coming into the new year here from both of us.
Yeah, but that's like another way of like how life can change in that way of like like these are things that in your teens you wouldn't really think of, like no one's
Never.
like in your 20s become real possibilities. Like I would say like most people in their 20s, like I know you said it hasn't happened to you yet, and I hope it doesn't
thankfully.
for a long time. I hope it doesn't to anyone in your life for a long time, like but the likelihood is as you get into your 20s, like that's when maybe like older family members will start to move on. I'm very lucky in the sense that my mom had me very young, and very like a lot of people, there's definitely like not like abundance of positives that come with that. Like you definitely do have a very different type of lifestyle to maybe people who had two working parents and like a house and a mortgage and all that sort of set up. I didn't have that, but one of the things I'm very grateful that has come out of my situation is that my grandparents are all still like I'm 26 now. My oldest grandparent is 72, I think.
Yeah,
so I've got still like at least another, I'd say 15 years with
all going well. Yeah, of course.
I'd say at least another like 25 years with at least one of the four of them.
Yeah.
Before that could change tomorrow. Like we were saying, like life comes at you fast. Like but it's one thing I'm very grateful for, that I have my four grandparents. And I'm still like of my age now, like whereas like I there's like it's really weird, like sometimes I talk to people and I say like, oh, my nana is whatever, like in her 60s, and they're like, oh, my mom's in her early 60s, and I'm like, that's kind of mad, like you probably have a similar experience as well. I was talking to one of the friends about that recently as well, where she's also, her mom was quite young having her, and like when she like was going on dates and like, oh, how old's your parents, and like they were saying the person they were on the date was like, oh yeah, they're in their 60s, and like her mom's like in her 40s, like it's just a really different vibe.
Yeah, like my mom was 61, and I always messed with my lad saying like I was literally crawling myself out of the womb trying to get out because she was 36 when she had me, and I was like, you ever see that meme of like the sperm cells and it's like a race to get out? That was literally me trying to get out my father. I was laughing there as well when you were saying, I was like, you better ring Joe, tell him to go on the treadmill.
That man needs to stop working. That's what that man needs to do. That man does not tire. That man does not stop.
No, in fairness, anytime I've met Joe, he's always been standing. So there you go.
Honestly, like I've known him for obviously 25, 26 years. I think I've seen him sitting down and relaxing maybe 4 times in my life. He's just a guy who does not stop and keeps moving and keeps grinding.
My best memory of your granddad is when we went to watch the Chelsea game, and it was me, you, Adam, and your granddad, and you bought him. We were all having a few Guinnesses, and Shaun bought him his face, or I think it was his face, or either the Chelsea crest onto. You could like scan it on top of the Guinness. He was just like shocked by it and also amazed.
He's got this thing that said Johnny.
Sorry, Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just because there's Johnny and Joe, so you're not
Johnny and Joe.
Johnny, that was Johnny that night and he's got this hilarious thing, and me and Simone love taking the mick out of him at the moment. Where like, so the way you can get things delivered to your house by drones now. Yeah. My granddad John fucking hates them. Like he is like he's ready to go protest in town about them. Like he just, and his thing is he goes, because he just points at the sky, because these things obviously fly over your house and drop these into your back garden or wherever, like and he just goes, who owns this? And he just points at the sky. And he goes, who owns this? Like, Johnny, well, you don't own it. He's like, but who owns this? And it's just become a thing where like anytime like somebody like leaves something, who owns this? But he like fucking despises them drones, like and one day my nana for the piss ordered a boojum to the house
A
on a
vision,
drone.
yeah.
And like, by the sounds of it, my granddad thought like World War One was about to kick off, or
Jesus.
World War Three or whatever. Like no, because it just slowly landed in Ghana. He was like, "What the fuck?"
This is like me with the pigeons thing again.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and Johnny are scared of robotic pigeons.
Oh, right. Well, I think maybe time to move on to current affairs for the week.
And it's kind of on the same kind of topic, really, but kind of a little bit different. I think the first one you're kind of reflecting on was more about coping changes and coping mechanisms, and this more is about more like change resolutions, I would say. Changing
Changes going
resolution.
forward. Like
Yeah,
you're
so
trying your hardest to make this really smooth.
yeah, that was not as good as the first one. Even though I actually texted in the group chat letting saying Sean, because both of them were Sean's topics this week, and I was like, okay, I'll let Sean take the wheel on this one. But I'll let you go
I
now.
just
Go
felt, I
on.
felt like I'd like waffled on quite a bit there, so I thought like a bit of
Yeah,
interlude from you
sorry.
was inact. But anyway,
My
um,
brain juice is not here today.
we are recording this on Friday, the 2nd of January, and of course it is now 2026. So a big happy New Year to the lot of you. Hope you are well and you have a fucking great year. And one thing people tend to do at the start of a new year is set their New Year's resolutions. We already kind of touched on goals a little bit a week or two ago, so we're not going to go too in depth on like our resolutions, but we want to maybe talk a bit about the idea of setting resolutions and this time of year, and you know how our experiences with them in the past and how they've gone and that sort of stuff. For me, I don't particularly set resolutions at New Year's. I do definitely set myself goals and stuff, but I don't tend to like do it at New Year's. I just tend to like put my head down into something, and then like once I finish that thing, I then move on. So like
The next thing.
for yeah, it's like I'm the first thing I done was giving up alcohol, and then I gave up crisps for like 3 years as well. I was off crisps for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was off
I never
crisps
knew
from
that.
2018 to maybe 2 years. 2018 to late 2020, I didn't touch crisps, and what I
And
was
what
trying to
made you
do
go back
was
to crisps?
COVID.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Fair
But
enough.
like,
No more
I was
explanation.
I was trying to do this thing where like I was like, oh well, I'll give up like a bad habit every year, you know. And so that started off with alcohol. So I gave up alcohol. And when I hit my 1 year anniversary on alcohol, I was like, I'm gonna just give up another thing. And I was like, oh, I could do crisps easily, like you know. So I did give up crisps. And then there was like one day where it was like mid COVID, and I was in the shop and I had just gotten a roll. And like I had just been having popcorn instead. Anytime like I did, like you know, for a meal deal, I'd always just get popcorn instead of crisps. And there was one
That's
day
so
where
weird.
I just saw like a packet of Hunky Dory's cheese and onion, and I was like,
And you're like, gives
it's
that.
time, it's time,
Yeah.
it's time for a relapse, you know. And I kind of was off them again. Like I was never like hard back on them, let's say. But then when me and Simone got together, Simone is a crisp connoisseur. It's like Simone is upset. Like she'll tell you herself, she fucking loves them. Like one for
The
her first
hamper.
time. Yeah, the first time it was her birthday when we were together. I made her like a big. Well, I bought all these crisps. My auntie put it together, but like we got a hamper of like every crisp that was available in deals. Bought
That's
them all.
class.
Spent like fucking 40 quid on crisps alone. And
She's
made
probably
this
chuffed
hamper
though.
thing. Oh, it was. She was like, that was one of the most thoughtful things anyone's ever done. You know,
Go
pulled
with
in the
gift.
big guns. But yeah, that's how I kind of tend to do it. So I don't do it as much myself at like New Year's, so to speak. Have you been somebody that does that before?
I'm kind of similar to you, where I do like short-term slash long-term goals, and then I'll focus on the short-term ones, and then the longer ones kind of then come as I get the short-term ones out of the way. The one thing I like that I actually never thought of there, as you saying, was like looking at it as removing a bad habit every year. I think a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's actually a good way of looking at resolutions, because a lot of people, like, is this funny thing about like everyone signs up to the gym the 1st of January. They go like 3 times and then they never go. It's like anyone that owns a gym, to be absolutely buzzing because they know they're going to get loads of cash for people paying yearly memberships, and they're going to go about twice. There's this funny meme that keeps popping up my page, and it's like when your family walks in and you trying to hit your New Year's Eve goals, and it's some fat lad doing like sit-ups in his room, and he can't even do like one halfway, and it's just lying on the ground like so yeah, it's funny, like, but like you got to start somewhere, you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah, of
as,
course.
it's not as easy as just jumping on and starting doing it. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of like in the same as you. I kind of like put all my focus into one thing, and then eventually the other things will all kind of come together. Is there a big one that you have for this year that you're like, I want to hit that. Like that's one of them I want to hit.
Like, I'm just kind of focused on continuing to lose weight. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I started that in May, so I'll be a year on it in May. So like I'll kind of like reassess myself then and be like, right,
Mm.
okay, where am I at now? Like, do I want to kind of keep going that hard? Do I want to loosen up a little bit? Like for me, before that, it was driving. So like once I got I got my license in April and I started this
Mm.
weight loss thing in May. You know, like I will give myself a few weeks off. Like it wasn't like 31st of April pass the driving test, 1st of May, or is it 30? Yeah, it's 31 days in
Yeah,
April,
yeah.
isn't it?
There
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
So
Yeah.
31st of April, like driving, and then 1st May. It's not like that at all. Like it was like naturally like okay, like what do I want to like do next? And like the thing I want to do, um, kind of next. Like I'm kind of like I don't know if it's gonna be the absolute next thing I do, but it'll be either next or maybe the thing after that, depending on kind of like timelines and stuff. Is I want to learn Irish again. Like I want to be fluent in Irish.
Class.
Like and like it can be anything. Like I could be a Duolingo thing. It could be like going back to college. I've got a handful of friends that can speak. Like I have a friend who's an Irish teacher in a school,
Yeah,
and
go on.
I've got another friend who is fluent in Irish who went to a Wales school. So like I've got people in my life who I could speak Irish with, like but yeah, it's something I'm very passionate about. But I don't know if I'll get to that this year. Like I said, my main
Yeah.
goal is to just kind of keep going on the weight loss for
Yeah.
the meantime. Like I don't have a particular weight in mind. I'm kind of just you know
See how you get on.
seeing how I got on. Yeah, but
Yeah.
like I think that's like I think I don't want to do it in a way of like it's January. Here's the goal because I don't think it's a realistic way to stick to it for me. Anyway,
No.
I've never found that. It may be different. Maybe like I don't know if maybe there is some of you guys out there that have like set a goal in January and like follow through for
Time
December.
periods. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very like I think if you want to do it, like this weight loss thing, like I wanted to do it, so I didn't like wait till January, to do it. Like I just started it when I started. Like I think there's like a lot of like kind of like social pressure because you see it on
Definitely.
you see it like it's a conversation that we're having right now, or like it's a
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
that you'll see people have on on like in the pub, and maybe people like will stick them up on their Instagram story or their TikTok or whatever like
Mm-hmm.
that, and then like they'll compare it to this time next year.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I did do last year was like, oh, I want to play a gig every month. I kind of set that as a thing, but like, it wasn't
Yeah, they'll
as
be on
strict as
20.
like, yeah, but like it wasn't as strict as I have to play January, February, April, March like every single month. It was more like I want to do at least 12, so I can say I
Mm-hmm.
played like at least one a month, and
Yeah.
I nearly doubled that in the end. Like
This class.
the thing and like goalposts shift with
Mm-hmm.
goals and this sort of stuff as well, and I feel like to like set a goal or a resolution to start a year, I just don't think it's really sustainable to stick to it because
Yeah.
I feel like because people only set them at that time because they think it's like the thing to do, whereas like if it's something you actually want to do, you'll do it at the right time in the year for the right for you, like.
I liked what we were talking about last week. You mentioned about like there's also a really good thing to have goals that you don't think you'll actually achieve, but just to put them out there and put all your energy towards that. Like you were saying before, like growing up, a lot of us wanted to be professional footballers, but you learn pretty early on if you have it or you don't. You know what I mean? Like I always think I was an average footballer. I still think I am pretty half decent, but I know myself that I'd never be able to get to the level. But I think if you put something out there and put all your energy into it, you will just get better at it over time. And it's the same like you were saying there with music. Like originally when you started, I don't know how many gigs you had the year before, but you went from saying you wanted to do 12 gigs and you ended up doing 20. That's a big leap from the year before and the other years of you playing
I
music. And
think
I
the year
think it's
before it was like 4 or 5.
there you go. So
Something
like,
like
and it's just, yeah. And like before, like everyone has goals that they want to start. Like one of my goals for this year is I ran a half marathon last year, and this year I want to do a marathon at the end of the year. But I'm giving myself 9 months to, get to a level where I feel like, I can do this. But like I was saying to Nicola, it's not going to be like, even if I don't do the marathon this year, if I don't feel my body is running, I don't feel a thing. For me, this year it was just like I just want to be healthy because I felt like last year and last 2 years I kind of like neglected my health due to moving country and trying to get sorted with the house, and then obviously all your friends and family want to come over. Like for this year, I really just want to focus on like getting my body right. And I'm like I was saying to Shaun before, I was dealing like with some past issues with health back in Ireland, and I'm now trying to bring it over here to make it more accessible and easier for myself. And like one of the things I was saying to Nicola is like I really want to I'm not being too harsh on myself, but I want to try give up drinking. But I think I want to start at a point where there's no pressures on me and being like stuff like, okay, if I'm out for dinner and I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink, and then over time, then slowly decrease it and not be like, I'm not drinking and that's it. Because I don't think like, I obviously you can talk from someone's perspective of someone who has done that, but then there's other people I know that said that they're decreasing over time might be easier. So like I'm gonna be the kind of person now is like I'm gonna try my best to stay away from it. And I think I don't need it as well. I think that's the thing as well. A lot of time, and me and my one of my good friends Nate, and we talk about this a lot of the time. We are generally people that are just social drinkers, and we do it for the sake of because everyone else is doing it. But for me personally, like I never actually enjoy drinking. Like, yeah, okay, I do like the case of Guinness and I do like a glass of wine with my dinner, but it's at the same time, it's like I'm not one of the people that actively are like, oh, let's go for pints and oh, let's go to the pub and spend every weekend because I don't do that here anyway. And I never really did it at home. I just really did it because it was a way to meet up with my friends. And I feel like I'm trying to get past that stage in my life now that I don't want to do things for other people. And another thing I think, like the last thing I'd say for this year is like the two things I have is my health and then self-respect, which we kind of been speaking about a lot the past 2 to 3 weeks on the podcast. But it's something that I highlight for myself and it's something that I need to bring into my own life. And it's something that Sean's actually been talking with me a lot, kind of off camera and just on like some personal matters. But it's something that I think I really need to implement now, in my life. And I think it would then better me in the longer run. And I think that's like what the main purpose of like goals are and resolutions. I think is like it's more a betterment. And I think you were saying there the one thing I like what Sean said before, and I'll stop talking about this for so long, was that it's kicking bad habits, and while kicking the bad habits, then you get betterment out of it. And I think that's a good way of looking at resolutions.
Yeah, I think like honestly for me, I think the only goal anyone should have at the end of every year, I think this should be a universal thing, is just try and be better than the
Yeah.
person. Just try and be a better version of yourself by the end of the year. And that doesn't have to be in any one specific area. Like, that can be improving a skill, that can be improving your mental well being, that can be improving your physical health, but like it doesn't have to be like a massive massively pressurized thing as well. Like, if you can get to a point where this time next year you feel better in yourself, like that's a win. And it doesn't matter whether you can run a full marathon or not. Like, it's more about do you feel better than you did this time last year? And if you don't, that's okay. But then it's important to assess why and try and move forward and try to do better by yourself. Like, you don't have to go out and you don't have to change the world. Like, but of course you want the best for yourself and your loved ones. Like, so you gotta figure out how to do that. I do want to touch a little bit on what you said about drinking, because I think a lot of people will say go and do dry January, or like they'll want to talk about this, or it's like I just think it's a topic that like tends to come up around this time of
A
year.
lot.
And I want to preface this as well by saying small drinks. My grandparents drink, my family drink. You and Nicola drink. Like, I've got nothing against people who drink. I don't really give rats. It's the same way I feel about weed. I don't smoke weed. I don't care if you smoke weed. However, saying that, I chose to give up alcohol. I'm 7 years sober. Well, I will be seven. I'm 6.5 years sober, I'd say now. Giving up drink was the single best decision I ever made in my life. And I guarantee you, anybody out there, if you do it, it will improve your life in so many ways. Now, if you enjoy having a drink, fair play to you. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not trying to force this. I'm just saying it's a fantastic idea. I personally went cold turkey with it. I didn't ease myself off. I just went like that. Now, I also wasn't an alcoholic. But the reason I decided to give up was because I could see myself getting into bad drinking habits, and I kind of said I'm going to take this down before it becomes an alcoholism thing.
Yeah.
I just noticed because especially with my history of eating, I knew that I was starting to get into similar patterns with my drinking, so I decided just to stop it. But giving up drinking, honestly, it will save you in so many aspects of your life. In terms of on a Sunday morning, you won't wake up with a hangover or whatever.
You don't feel awful.
Not having hangovers in your life is a bliss. I have,
especially when you're older. Man, especially when you're older, they hurt so much more than when you're in your 18, 19. It's exactly crazy.
I got 19 the last time I had a hangover.
there's so many aspects to it as well. Like, first of all, like I would say health, but then money as well is a massive
That was
factor
the next thing I
because,
was going to say.
do
You
you
will
know
save
why?
so much money.
Yeah, because it's not just the drink because it's then you got to get like a taxi home. Then you spend money on a takeaway because you're not arsed and cooking the next day. Then sometimes you have to go to work after drinking and hungover, and that's like the worst because your day just you feel terrible and the day is super long. And then also what it does, like the amount of times I've been sick, I've lost count of the amount of times I've been sick after a night out drinking. And I've got to this age now, and I was talking to Nicola about it the other night, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually so sick of this. Like I hate feeling awful after drinking, and it's like we're only doing it for the social aspect, where like you can still have the social aspect and not drink. You know what I mean? You can
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
go. Like
That
me and you have gone to the pub and watched games, and you've had a Coke and I've just had a beer and we watched the match. Like you know what I mean? But like why? Like there was only times I was having a point because that's all I was known to have as that age. You know what I mean? When you're 18, 19, especially in Ireland, like we could do a whole topic about the drinking culture in Ireland and how much it has affected our whole like the way people view Ireland as well. Like
yeah, absolutely.
we're kind of known for the how well the Irish can drink and stuff like that. But
Yeah, it's definitely
yeah,
something I wouldn't mind talking about a bit more in depth. But
yeah,
if anybody is thinking of doing it, I highly recommend you. And again, I'm not like somebody who's anti-drinking at
no,
all in any sense. Like I'm just
I
saying
don't know,
from my personal perspective, it's one of the best things you'll ever do for yourself. Um,
definitely,
it'll make you, and even like if you're like looking to like go healthy and stuff, like it's just so much better. I feel like I've excelled quite a lot with like my weight loss and stuff because I don't drink as well because you're
yeah,
not wasting calories on drink and you're not waking up like we mentioned there with hangovers. And I'm gonna just finish up with this really quickly. We talked about money. I
yeah,
remember when I used to drink and we used to go on like us we used to go on night outs together and I would easily spend 200 to 250 euro
yeah.
because you'd go this is how our nights used to go. We used to go to Weatherspoons in Blanche. You'd easily spend like 30-40 euro on drinks, and it's not even your own drinks. It's then like once you've had a handful,
Shots and everyone
it's
else's.
shots. You'll start buying rounds for people, and oh yeah, you can get the next one, and then oh no, you can get you haven't been paid this week. It's grand. You can get it next week. We'll be out again. All these sort of things. So easily before you even get into town, you're spending 30-40 quid. Then you get into
Yeah,
town. Now mostly you're getting the bus into town at this point. So whatever, 2 or 3 euro. But then you often had to pay to get into places in town. So you're spending anywhere between 10 to 20 euro. And then once you get into nightclubs, like drinks are a piss take. Like you're spending like 7 to 10 euro on drinks, and then you're like these costs are piling up over the course of the night. Like say if you have like 7 drinks, like you're easily gonna spend like 50-60 euro. And then again, like that's your drinks alone. That's not you buying for somebody else or you covering somebody and like people doing shots and people doing rounds and all this sort of carry on. So you're
mm.
easily like at this point over 100 euro deep. Then you go out and you get food, and then you're paying for a taxi home.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. So like I said, you'd easily spend 200 euro a week, and then like when you're that drunk as well, like you end up ordering half the menu that you don't even need. Anyway, like you
Yeah,
end up you order a mayo chicken, a fucking Big Mac, a fucking KFC, a Supermax, like the whole fucking everything on O'Connell Street that's going. You'll go in, you'll have an Irish tapas selection of it,
yeah,
so, but yeah, I noticed then like so I stopped drinking. Then we were going, and I'd still go on nights out after with you guys as well.
yeah.
A night out would cost me no more than 40 euro because what would
Literally.
happen is I'd go out, I'd maybe buy one or two cokes, but like when you're sober and you're paying like 5 euro for a coke, you're gonna have one or two max, you know.
Literally.
So you've paid your bus into town, and you've only spent about I'd say 10-15 euro at this point, including your bus fare. You pay your 10-15 euro to get into the club, and then on your way back, you'll order a sensible meal if you even eat at all. And then when you're going back in a taxi, you're a bit more able-minded. So you'll be like, all right, okay, now let's split these taxis up. Let's be smart about it here. You come into this taxi with this person, and you'll calculate. You'll think straight and go, no, it doesn't make sense for the person from Blanche to go in a taxi with someone
Yeah.
going to Dundleary. No, all the people from Blanche go in one taxi. All the people going to this park, because this is something you do when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
drunk. You're like, oh, come here, you're my best pal. Let's all go in here. And then all of a sudden, there's 4 taxis going in five
It's a
different
big dilemma.
directions.
It's a big dilemma.
Whereas when you're sober, you just don't think. You just think straight.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
don't.
three. Yeah.
Exactly. So like it's massive. If anybody's trying to save, like cut and drink will like massively save you money.
We'll definitely do this as a topic over the
Yeah,
next
for sure.
week or so, and
Yeah.
there's loads to dissect and go into as well. I know we're at cautious of time, so I do want to move into your distance dilemmas. So if you don't know, guys, this is the part of the show where me and Shaun dissect your dilemmas. Basically, you send in some dilemmas you have in your personal life. I look at them, I shuffle them up. I have no idea who they're from, where they're coming from, and again, there's no names involved. They're all anonymous. And if you would like to send in, because we are coming into the new year, and again, Sean said there's a lot of resolutions and changes, and you maybe some dilemmas you want to discuss, you can send them into the at the distance dilemma pod at gmail.com, or you can reach us on our Instagram page. That was beautiful, Emma, beautiful. Let's just move into oh yeah, so the first one, I'll read it out here. So I've been in Switzerland for 2.5 years now, and my current job contract is for another 2 years. My focus is to save as much as I can for that time, but my dilemma is that I don't know what I should plan for. I've been working for 10 years already, and I don't know if I should take the opportunity to take a career break and travel for a few months, or try buy a house and invest in my future. I'm only 25, so I don't know what should be a priority. Any advice?
I think you're probably the man to
Yeah,
kick
I
this one off.
mean, look, myself and Nicola had this great idea when we were moving to Switzerland that Nicola would get the job, we'd find an apartment in 2 months, we'd start saving within the second month, and then we'd be, kicking on. That's our plan. And it didn't work out like that. We moved to Zurich. Nicola had a job. Unfortunately, the job wasn't great. She wasn't liking the job at all. We were in Zurich for 3 months, and we were really thinking about going home. We had moved to three different apartments trying to make it work. I went to over 60 viewings, which is mental. Um, and it wasn't happening for us. And luckily enough, we had a friend that was living in Toon at the time, and we moved and stayed with her. And we stayed with her for 3 months while Nicola got a new job. I got a job, got all our health insurances started. And eventually, then within 3 months, we were able to get a new apartment. Then we had to buy all the furniture and stuff. What I'm trying to get at here is this took over nearly a year for us to do, and only this year we got the house kind of finalized with everything. So only this year could we start saving. So it's not as easy as planning for your future as you think it is. Things come in so many waves in life and come in and disrupt your ideas of saving and thing. And again, like this person says, like I don't know. This person didn't state if they're single, what their situation is. They do say that they have a good opportunity here for 2 years, and you know, I think it always is good to have savings on the background, but I think also live your life. Go explore. Like people talk about this. I've seen so many videos on Instagram of people interviewing people in their 60s and 70s, and all they say in your 20s is the time to go traveling, is to have new experiences, go to the gigs, go see your friends in different countries, like go have fun. I think definitely your 20s is for that. But I think also it's great to have a bit of savings in the background, just as a safety net. To buy a house is really expensive at the moment, and especially in Ireland. Like me and Sean spoke about this on prior on the podcast. So I think, one thing I'd recommend is travel, have fun, have a bit of safety and security, but also don't be so harsh on yourself and just enjoy your time, and let it over time then, as your life changes, as you might meet someone, as you might, find a new job career, go with the flow. I think a lot of pressure is on us as in our 20s, and like it's been, a bit of a hectic year for a lot of people. So I think give yourself the benefit of the doubt and just, let it flow with it. That's what I'm gonna say. Let it flow with it. That sounds like something Flow Rider would say. Let it flow with it. Anyway, what's your take on anything I said or the topic?
Yeah, I think so. Based off the context, as it says, I've been in
Yeah,
Switzerland for 2.5 years now, so I'm assuming this is somebody who has emigrated to Switzerland. Don't know if
yeah,
they're
yeah,
from Ireland, don't know where they're from.
yeah.
Um, that to me would like hint at the want to kind of travel a little, or to get out there and see a little bit of the world and not be strapped down to one place. I do really agree though with one of the things you said, like make sure you don't have nothing. Like I wouldn't say you've been,
Mm,
just you're here 2.5 years, you're there 2.5 years, and there's another 2 years to go on your contract and your job. So 4.5, 5 years, saving, you're gonna have
a little
like
bit. A nice
bit of
amount.
money, tucked away, like But I would say you should travel, but I also don't think you should spend it all on travel. Like if
Oh, of course.
let's say you have 40 grand, spend 10 grand on travel and 15 grand, go and experience the world a little bit. Like I totally agree with the sentiment of what you're saying as well. of like, it's something I want to do. Like, I want to go and see the world. Like, we're here for a good time, not a particularly long
A long
time.
time.
you know, it's something that I want to get better at. Doing myself as well. Like, so I think it's about finding that right balance. And like, look, there's going to be houses. We're in the middle of a housing crisis in Ireland. Again, I don't know where this person's originally from. I don't know whether they're from Ireland or England or wherever. But
Yeah.
you know, like that aspect of things. Like, I'm sure they're. Well, again, this is me assuming here, but like, if you need to go back to, I'm going to just assume they're from Ireland for argument's sake. Like, if you need to go
Okay.
back to Ireland and live, in a house share for a year, or you need to go back to, your parents for a year. Like, that's a very likely situation anyway. Like, you're not going to walk back into Ireland and be handed the keys to a house. Like, you're likely going to have to move in somewhere temporarily for 6 months to a year, regardless.
Yeah.
So before you do that, like, because when you do, start a mortgage and that sort of thing, like, that has to be a priority. Like, and you don't have a lot of wiggle room. Whereas, like,
No.
if you don't have those responsibilities chaining you down right now, I think it'd definitely be a good idea just to travel and see the world a little bit. And like, while you have less responsibilities, again, I don't know if this person has kids, I don't know if this person has a partner, I don't know anything like that.
Mm.
But my gut was lean towards, like, go out and see the world a little bit, spend a little bit. And don't cheap, don't I would say, like, if you've got a bit of money there, like, see the world properly. Like, you don't have to, you know live on scraps with, like, see it and experience it, experience what you want properly. Like, because
Yeah.
money will come back,
Yeah.
but
Comes and
experience,
goes.
the time to do, like, the prime time to do that won't.
Exactly. Exactly. We'll move on to the second one here because I think we kind of covered our experiences on that. I've been single for a while now, and I feel like I'm too comfortable being alone, to the point that dating actually feels like a chore. Is that normal, or should I push myself to put more effort in? Do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, sure. Of course it's not. Of course it's normal. I've got friends who, like, like, they're just not really interested in having relationships right now, and that's fine.
Mm,
Like, and that can be. You don't have to want a relationship. I love being in a relationship. I love my partner. I know Imran feels the same about Nicola. You know, but like, it's not for everyone. Like, and I'm not saying, like, you want to be alone, or anything like that. But if you're comfortable being alone, and it's actively making you uncomfortable, like you're saying, it feels like a chore to go out and date and stuff. You don't have to do those things. Like, and it might be a case of, like, instead of going and dating, like, like, going on the dating scene and going on multiple dates and stuff, it might be a case of, like, the right thing for this person might be for something to occur more naturally, like, with somebody who is already a friend, or, you know paths will cross one day. Like, again, I don't know if this is a boy or a girl, but let's say it's a guy. Like, a girl could come up to you and ask it out, and, like, just take things naturally from there. But I don't think there's any particular pressure to, be putting yourself out there more if you don't want to. Like, and by the sounds of them, like, of this, it doesn't sound like this person wants to put themselves out there like that, and that's fine. Like, it is normal.
I think there's a lot of pressure sometimes with like society kind of making you want to fit into the category of, like, you should find love early and you should marry and get the house, and kind of like the way we're kind of taught to love in life. And I think it is
Mm.
sometimes, like, I see a lot of my friends, like, of course, Sean stayed there. I've been with Nicola 9 years, very happy as well in our relationship. And, we had our ups and downs and stuff like that. But, I'm happy from my situation, the way it worked out. And I think, like, I see some of my friends, and a lot of them are still single, and they're in this kind of like social media dating game with the Tinder and the Grinder and all these hinge apps. And it's like, people don't find it really hard to meet people naturally anymore. And I think that's why they're put off so much, because, you're seeing someone's profile through a screen, and, you meet up, you go on 2 dates, and it doesn't really work out. And sometimes it can feel like an endless cycle, And I've never experienced it, but I know Sean maybe can speak a little bit on that before. He obviously met with Simone. And it can be a bit, not, it can be a bit daunting, but I think it also can be a bit hard on people to meet people naturally anymore. Like, no one really tends to, meet. Like, I knew Nicola from secondary school, but we had no, inner circle. I knew her from just being in school. I didn't actually talk to her at all. And I met her at a party, and we just got talking, and then we went on a walk, and then I asked her on a date, and it kind of happened naturally, which I'm kind of happy looking back at it now. But I think because of the way social media has been such, it's so much bigger than it was 20 years ago. I think
Mm.
the dating aspect it's a really tough game right now. And I think it can be really hard for people to fall in love naturally. Like Shaun said there, like you might just bump into someone or, things align with people and, it does work out that way. But I think, it's a lot more pressures on people nowadays than it was maybe 20, 30 years ago meeting somebody. I don't know if you
Yeah,
feel the same or.
yeah. And like on the flip side is that me and Simone, we met on an app. We met on
Yeah, of
Bumble,
course. Of course.
and you know, it kind of, and I think I don't know if I could be overstepping the mark here, but I think Simone would have been not too dissimilar to this. Like I don't like Simone said to me when we started going out, like she wasn't really actively looking for a relationship. I know you might say, well, why was she on Bumble? Why was she swiping?
Yeah,
Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer to that. But like she wasn't particularly like out there to find the love of her life. I don't think and whereas I kind of was a little bit more like maybe love your life is a bit of an extreme way of putting it, but like I definitely was like on there to find somebody like
Yeah.
because like any relationship I'd had up to that point like hadn't gone on more than a couple of months. Like it had never gotten to the point where like I'd introduced them to my family and you know
Yeah, yeah.
moved in, I got a house and a dog, that sort of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's very different, and I think you guys had like you guys are like the last of like a dying breed of like the way people meet. Like obviously people will meet naturally the way you guys did, but like the majority will meet the way me and Simone did.
Yeah, of
And like
course.
there's lots of different reasons behind that, and like different people have different preferences for that sort of thing. Like because like you almost like get to present a different version of yourself up front. Like whereas like if
Mm,
it's like say somebody you went to school with, they may already have like perceptions about you based off what other people think. Whereas like you can kind of present a certain version of yourself if you're meeting somebody in person for the first time and there's no mutuals involved,
of
you know.
course.
But just like to kind of hammer home the point, I don't think there's anything wrong with you know like if dating feeling like a chore
No, no, no.
at all. Like I don't think you should push yourself if you don't want to. Like if you want a relationship, like if that's something you're actively pursuing, then maybe yeah, it might be worth dipping your toes in the water a little bit, but that doesn't mean you need to jump the gun and jump into the sea and start going on loads of dates. Like just take it easy. Like nobody's an expert in these things. It's all very
No.
case by case, and there's lots of people like, and something I'm very fearful of is like I know people who were in relationships for like 10 years and the relationships ended. Like
Yeah.
that scares the shite out of me. Like that something could just happen, or you know you can just grow out of a relationship like that. It's something
Mm,
that it really like it scares me because I obviously wouldn't want it to happen because I love
mm.
Simone and I don't see my life without her right now. But nobody knows what the
No.
future has installed, and like sorry, has the future what the future has in for us all is what I was trying to say. I stumbled on my words there.
I think growth and change kind of affects a lot of people in relationships of people that have been together so long because, everybody changes over time. Like we kind of talked a little bit about time and self-reflection during this episode, but one thing I noticed about like my relationship with Nicola is not the same when it was when I was 16. And it was not even the same before I moved to Switzerland. So like it just changes and adapts over time. But like the love doesn't change. The love I still have for Nicola is the same love I had when I was 16.
Mm.
And the only difference now is the love style is different. I
Mm.
look at Nicola different. Like I look at Nicola now as, like the potential mother of my children, like my wife, like looking forward to, moving into buying a house together. Like we're saying, like with time and, love, it changes in terms of like kind of the environment of what's going on in your life, I think is
Mm.
something that's noticed. But I think for this person here, I'd say just don't put too much pressure on yourself. I think kind of, if right now it's not in the best interest for you, I think just focus on yourself and maybe over time when you feel like you're in a position that maybe that's something you want to look for, then maybe go look for it.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Okay,
that
I
was
think
good.
that's probably the perfect place to wrap up this episode of the Distance Limit. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. This is episode number 46. My name is Shaun. I'm in Dublin, Ireland. This has been Imran. He is in Thun, Switzerland. This is the Distance Limit. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back next week at 6 a.m. Irish time and 7 a.m. Central European time zones every Monday. Thank you very much, and we will chat to you again next week.
Cheers, folks.